Under Plum Lake by Lionel Davidson. 4. The Face by Night. Now I've got to get the time right. I've got to say how it happened. My father hadn't started his holiday then. He just came weekends. He came Friday night and went Sunday night. He gave me the walloping Saturday, so I waited all weekend for him to go. The storm blew out on the weekend, but the weather stayed strange. It stayed gray and heavy. This worried my mother, because it was time for him to go. Because when it was time for him to go, the tracks were still muddy and the roads unfit for miles. "Don't worry," he said and looked up at the sky. "In a couple of hours it will be bright as day." I said, "Will it?" "Yes, full moon tonight." He looked up again and took a deep breath before climbing in the car. I went back in the house with my stomach churning. I said, "Can I have the flashlight?" Why do you want the flashlight?" my mother said. "I thought I'd get coal for the morning." "Very thoughtful. It is on my bedroom. It's in my bedroom drawer. See, it goes back there." I got the flashlight and went out and shoveled coal. The flashlight didn't go back in the drawer. Later, Annie went to bed, and Sarah had to go with her. "I think I'll read a while," my mother said. "I think I'll go to bed," I said. My stomach was still churning as I creaked up the stairs. I'd got the flashlight under my pullover and an oil lamp in my hand. I shut the attic door and looked out the window. It wasn't bright as day yet. I hoped Dad was right. In another way, I hoped he wasn't. It seemed crazy going down the cliff at night. Annie would keep an eye on me all day, though. I thought I'd consider it and lay down on the bed. And next thing I knew, my mother was calling me. She seemed to have done it once or twice already, and she was doing it in a hushed voice, not to wake the others. She said, "Barry, did you take the flashlight?" I kept quiet. I knew she wouldn't come and wake me just for the flashlight. I heard her door close and the bed springs creak. I got up and looked out the window. It was bright moonlight. I licked my lips and felt for the flashlight and began creeping downstairs. "Barry," my mother said. I froze. "Is that you, Barry?" I turned and went back up, 2 at a time, keeping to the wall side where the stairs creaked less. I re-entered my room and stood, cursing in the dark. I'd have to wait till she was asleep. In the light of the flashlight, I looked at my watch and then looked again. 1 o'clock! I'd been considering it for 2 hours. There was no question of waiting till she was asleep now. She couldn't sleep for hours the night my father left. It would have to be now. It would have to be by the window. I had another look out of the window. The attic faced back. The storm porch was just below, with the coal pile under it. There was a sloping slate roof, held up by a wooden post. I went backwards out the window and hung on till I felt the roof below and went down the slates. There was a rainwater gutter at the end. I clutched onto it till my feet wrapped around the wooden post, then shinnied down it to the coal pile and turned. The night was like day. It was weirder than day. All the plants in the garden were looking at me. I went across the grass and over the chain-link fence. I went up the slope to the cliff and heard the sea. It took me 5 minutes, going fast, to reach it, and I stopped and gaped. Below me, everything was a lake of silver. I could see one arm of the bay, a cold moon color, and apart from that, nothing but silver. The sea was breathing slightly, a soft, shushing sound. I went as close to the edge as I could and looked over, and saw only the bulge of a cliff, and got on my stomach and leaned farther, and still saw it. The cliff bulged out so far, the sea at the base wasn't visible. I remembered looking up the cliff and seeing the bulge on top. It was the right bit of cliff anyway. I looked round in the moonlight and wondered where to start. I thought I'd start on a few big outcrops of rock that stuck out of the tough, scraggly grass. If the entrance to the path was so well concealed that no one had ever found it, it had to be an expert job. I prowled round the shady parts with the flashlight. I did it till the third heap of rock, when I ricked my ankle in a rabbit hole and came down hard. I rubbed the ankle and saw in flashlight that it was 20 minutes to 2. I thought that was enough. It was like looking for a needle in a haystack. And night was no time to do it. I'd do it by day, and it didn't matter if Annie was there or not. She didn't have to know what I was looking for. I decided that and started getting up and saw it was a funny rabbit hole. It was a piece of slate. It had broken under my weight. I put the flashlight closer and saw the slate was the color of the rock. It had been put there to look like rock. It would take a smart rabbit to do that. I got on my knees and pulled the piece of slate out. It was a corner of a bigger piece, and I tried to pull that out too. It was embedded in the tough grass roots and wouldn't come, but I broke some more and uncovered a black hole underneath. It didn't smell earthy or stale, the hole. A fine, fresh breeze blew up it. I sat back on my heels and blinked at it, but it still took a minute to realize I'd found the entrance. And we'll stop there.